So, really quick question. Has anyone here heard of Forrest Gump? Okay, I know this is an insane proposition to start a video. Please don't click off, just try.
Forrest Gump is a film about, well, a character known as Forrest Gump. He's a little bit autistic, grew up not really being able to run, but some way, through grit, hard work, and a few other circumstances, he was able to get through a lot of personal turmoil and struggles by putting one foot in front of the other.
All of this to say, Forrest Gump, he lived a well-traveled, crazy life, even as a fictional character. In other news, I have 15 minutes to get to the airport in an Uber right now. So, who wants to go flying?
Hi, lift for Duncan?
We made it. Now, I have an idea of what you're thinking. Duncan, what the hell are you doing at the airport? It is the middle of the spring semester, and final exams are in a month. And if I'm completely honest, I don't really know half the time either. Trust me when I say I will explain when we get there.
Thank you. Good morning.
Back home, back in Atlanta, and unfortunately, we're only passing through. Or maybe fortunately. I've seen the pollen count, it is atrocious. But where are we going? Alright, so speaking of home, in my family, we have this running joke from like years and years and years ago. It was from like either a Thanksgiving or Christmas trip to Chicago, but my sisters were beefing about something, and at a certain point, like the topic of both of them at certain points in the year going to Florida came up. And since then, it's kind of been a gag in my family. If anyone's going to Florida, say, I'm going to Florida, and kind of just gloat. My parents did this last year when it came to the blizzards in Nashville. Thankfully, I had classes canceled, but it was like 15 degrees. I couldn't feel my face, and they were going to the only place in the southeast that was actually hospitable to human life. I digress. When they went to Florida, they ended up going to Disney World. And guess whose turn it is? Now, normally, I don't necessarily take the bus, but I've spent probably like way too much money on Ubers and Lyft this week. So if $16 7-day bus pass, which would normally be like an Uber in Nashville or a Lyft, because Lyft is much cheaper, I'll take that any day of the week. But I am in a weird catch-22. It's a 24-minute walk to the hotel, and the next bus doesn't come for another 10 minutes, but then that one is an 11-minute bus. It's decisions, but guess who has to go through another checkpoint? We would eventually and safely make it to our hotel and settle in.
Good morning. It is Saturday, day before the big reason why I'm here, and oh, I forgot to show you guys the hotel. So this right here is the hotel, basically. It's kind of not that much, to be honest. But when you're dealing with a college student budget, it gotta kind of factor that in. It's got 2 beds, it's got the TV, it's got the bathroom. Bathroom's, I wanna say kind of interesting, but it's just your bog standard like bathroom stuff. It does have like a sliding like barn door, like right here. Makes it super interesting, but also like relatively gives you no privacy if you were to look that way, because the shitter's right there with the shower. So today's on the docket for me. I have some portfolio building stuff that I need to do after one important obligation that I need to get to probably within the next like 2 or so hours. So right now I'm getting dressed and changed, not for any of that, unfortunately, although we will get to it at a certain point, but instead,
Easy 3 miles, or at least I'm trying to make it easy. I don't know if I am for myself, but yeah. Now, remember last summer how I ran the Peachtree Road Race? It was my biggest race to that point. I still have not stopped running. If anything, if you notice my Instagram, I've been running more and more because I have some big running goals I really want to set in motion. And to start off that journey, that list, that achievement, my first race to work towards that is this weekend here in Disney of all places. And we need to go to Expo like right now because it ends in like 2 hours. That is my event tomorrow. That is why we are here. So for a little bit added more context, one of my friends here at Belmont is this guy named Owen. He's one of my Frisbee teammates, but he grew up in the Boston area and also was a cross-country kid. I've perused his Strava a handful of times. He's definitely way faster than I am, and he's one of the people from my time here at Belmont that's really pushed me to get back into running again. And after my escapades last summer with Peachtree Road Race, I was thinking about it just a little bit, maybe like sort of pipe dreamish, but I was thinking, hey, what if I was crazy and qualified for Boston or made an honest attempt to do so, met the standard by 2030? And then in December, before the tickets for these sold out, I floated the idea to my parents about this whole endeavor and another thing that didn't quite come to fruition that weekend. But regardless, this race is now the new longest race in my life, but it's also going to be a stepping stone to see how can I handle those longer distances, longer than 5 miles, longer than 10 kilometers, between that and a half marathon, and what learning do we need to do in order to run a full marathon without stopping, let alone qualify for Boston. Basically, in order to get there, we have to do this, and we have to do this right, and this is the first big step towards that. So the bib that they gave me is a very low number. I am literally in Corral B. I think they expect me to be fast. Like, this is one of the first, placements for Corral. Am I supposed to be fast tomorrow? What? As I was going through Expo, it dawned on me just how serious of an endeavor this was. And so the next morning on race day, I gave myself a little pep talk. So, it's race day now. I kind of locked in way too hard for my own good. I basically spent the entire rest of my afternoon maybe doom scrolling for a bit, but then locking in on like a website they've been building for a class. You know, it's been a lot. Throughout this weekend as well, I've kind of just been in and out of my head a lot. There were a few things I wanted to do. I really wanted to go to the parks this weekend, and that kind of fell through financially wise, but then also there's like a close friend that I wanted to see, and it's whatever. But one of the big things I kept telling myself and to other people is this little kid from high school cross country, wants to do some really big things. And this is like my first big test of if that is at all possible. I really just want to finish this race at pace. But with everything going on, it's like I'm running today with a very heavy heart and a stressed out mind. It's a lot to take in, especially when you're supposed to be in the happiest place on earth. But the only thing I can really do now is just run my run, race my race. I am starting in a really early corral, which is huge for me. Kind of puts a little bit of pressure, but also pressure off. Just gotta remind myself I'm not competing for the win, even though I want to. But it's a lot to take in, it's a lot to digest. Hopefully it isn't too much for y'all, because we got less than 10 minutes until our shuttle takes us to the start line. So let's get this shit. Obviously this is pressure we can't run from, but pressure makes diamonds.
Oh my goodness, it is getting real.
Hydrate and smile, because you get to do this in 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, I missed the start of our wave, but we're going. Let's do this. Woo! The start of our race obviously happened way faster than anticipated. And before I knew it, we were through Epcot into Hollywood Studios. 5K's in. kind of suboptimal because I was collecting high fives and my earbuds decided to be fun, but we still jamming. Eventually, I took my first photo op.
The line was short, so I might as well check in.
I said hi to Frozone and gifted him a glow stick I got from a fan. He also didn't know how to dap me up, which was kind of awkward.
Frozone's not my absolute favorite, but you gotta stop for at least one.
And I wanted to stop by for as many as possible, but the lines were really super long. And when I'm also running a little bit for time, every second counts.
Halfway through, this is where it gets serious now.
So, as I've restarted my running journey for almost the past 2 years now, a lot of people have come up to me and said, like, why would you run that event? Or better yet, how and why are you running? Why put yourselves through the physical pain, emotional torment, and mental stress of running super long distances, especially past 5 kilometers? Because I can't see myself running longer than a mile or 5 kilometers. And for the longest time, I'd say the same way. Like, I get tuckered out after a mile of high school, like, cross-country training runs. I'd feel really, really bad going into race days, going into meet days. Hell, sophomore year of high school, I was actually cut from the cross-country team for that type of attitude. Because a lot of my non-runner friends, all they see are, oh, this is just a way to meet cute guys, or it's the easiest way to get validation through Strava, kudos, and a banana. And while the social aspect of running, or like the little freebies that you get here and there, especially the free banana, all of those are well and good, but since restarting my running journey, I think the biggest thing I've discovered is the feeling I get when I go out and run. There have been these studies about long distance runners or people that like do long distance running over time. It's something about a runner's high. It's almost so ubiquitous that Puma actually like did an ad campaign particularly about like the runner's high. But in order to do that, you really have to push yourself hard, but also feel good about how you're pushing yourself. And for the longest time, I could never quite get into that space. I think part of that had to deal with just being in that like racing environment, that team environment, and having to look over your shoulder about like the next person coming up or like the people in front of you. I think it wasn't until I took a step back from that, I realized, oh, there's no one I really need to please for running. The clock is going to be ambivalent. It's not going to care about my time. The people that I hold close to me, like, they're not going to care one way or another about whether or not I medal or how fast my finishing time was. Regardless if it's a world record, a Boston qualifier, or the 5K turkey trot. At the end of the day, like, I realized, wait a minute, the running isn't supposed to serve anyone else but myself. And once I made that mental connection and realized, wait a minute, I'm the one who gets to choose to care about this. I'm the one who gets to choose this race. I'm the one who gets to choose how hard I go out. I'm the one who cares about like how I do more than anyone else. All the running isn't for anyone else. It's not for accolades. It's not for records. It's for my own like self-fulfillment. And that's like one of the biggest things I run for. A lot of the past while, especially on like the mental side for me, has been trying to actively choose the things that choose me back and actively making the choices that are gonna give me the most self-fulfillment. And call me crazy, even on some of my worst days, some of my worst workouts, running is one of the few things that like genuinely started to fulfill me as of late. So to answer the question, why go through all of this? It's because it gives me life and I feel the most alive and I'm one foot in front of the other at pace running. And all the times, the accolades, the kudos, the free banana, while they're not the most important thing to me personally, they can be nice at times, especially the Disney ones.
Thank you, Pacers!
Thank you, you got it!
So going into this race, I had no idea what to expect. The only thing I knew is that it would be relatively flat and therefore relatively fast. And as someone who kinda goes out a little too hard for their own good, I wanted to take it super slow in the first kilometers and then really turn the wick up in the last 5K. It got a little difficult towards the ends. I probably went a little bit harder than I should have in those final 3 miles. but as I was going through the finishing chute, I gave everything I had.
Karina Camacho, Duncan, McCarthy, Jason Sack, Lisa Stein, Luke Chris.
As I crossed the line, I actually felt really, really good about how I finished in spite of everything. It was roundabout where I expected, time and overall position-wise, but I learned a lot of useful tools that's going to help us this summer during the Peachtree Road Race. This was the only time as well that I was in any of the big parks, so I made sure to get at least one souvenir before I left. And just like that, my runDisney adventure is over. Couldn't go to the parks, unfortunate, but Disney, Orlando, thank you for having me. Thank you guys for watching. So, yeah, see you later.